Welcome to the lesson, Ignition Systems for Hydrogen Internal Combustion Engines. In this lesson, we will discuss how ignition systems function in hydrogen engines and understand the components and conditions needed to ensure safe and reliable combustion. Let us look at our lesson objectives. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to explain why hydrogen engines can use gasoline-style ignition systems. Next, you will be able to describe when dual spark plug systems are required in hydrogen engines. Following that, you will be able to explain why waste spark ignition systems are unsuitable for hydrogen engines. Later, you will be able to identify the correct spark plug types and materials used in hydrogen engines. Finally, you will be able to describe how ignition components help reduce the risk of pre-ignition in hydrogen engines. Let's start by looking at the introduction to hydrogen ignition requirements. Hydrogen requires very little energy to ignite, which means it can be ignited easily during normal engine operation. Because of this, most gasoline ignition systems can ignite hydrogen without major modifications. However, when hydrogen is used at extremely lean air-fuel mixtures ranging from 130 to 1 to 180 to 1, the flame travels much more slowly. A slow flame can lead to incomplete combustion or unstable operation. To avoid these issues, hydrogen engines often employ dual spark plugs in these conditions, as two ignition points help promote a complete and reliable burn inside the cylinder. We will now discuss unsuitable systems for waste spark ignition. In a waste spark ignition system, the spark plug fires every time the piston reaches the top of the cylinder, regardless of whether the engine is on the compression stroke or the exhaust stroke. This approach works well for gasoline engines because gasoline does not ignite easily during the exhaust stroke. In this image, the engine control unit sends electrical signals to the ignition coils, which increase the voltage from 12 volts to thousands of volts. This high voltage travels through wires to the spark plugs in each cylinder, creating sparks that ignite the fuel-air mixture, allowing the engine to run. However, in a hydrogen engine, that extra spark can ignite the hydrogen mixture too early, leading to pre-ignition, which can cause damage and unsafe operating conditions. Because of this risk, waste spark systems are not recommended for hydrogen engines. Now, let's look at spark plug ratings for hydrogen engines. Hydrogen engines operate best with cold-rated spark plugs. These plugs are designed to transfer heat away from the tip quickly, which reduces the likelihood that the tip will become hot enough to ignite the hydrogen-air mixture before the intended spark. Hot-rated spark plugs are used in gasoline engines to burn off carbon deposits. However, hydrogen contains no carbon, so carbon buildup is not a concern. For this reason, hot spark plugs do not provide any benefit in hydrogen engines, and cold-rated plugs are the safer and more appropriate choice. We will now look at spark plug metal considerations. Platinum-tipped spark plugs should be avoided in hydrogen engines because platinum acts as a catalyst when it comes into contact with hydrogen. This catalytic effect increases the rate at which hydrogen reacts with oxygen, potentially leading to unintended ignition within the combustion chamber. This creates safety risks and can disrupt proper engine timing. To prevent these issues, hydrogen engines should be equipped with spark plugs made from materials that do not accelerate hydrogen oxidation. Let's look at the summary for our lesson, Ignition Systems for Hydrogen Internal Combustion Engines. Hydrogen engines benefit from hydrogen's ability to ignite easily, which makes standard gasoline ignition systems effective in many situations. When the engine operates with extremely lean mixtures, dual spark plugs help maintain reliable combustion. Waste spark ignition systems should be avoided because the extra spark can cause hydrogen to ignite prematurely. Selecting the proper spark plug is also critical. Hydrogen engines require cold, non-platinum spark plugs to minimize the risk of unwanted ignition and ensure safe, stable operation. Thank you.